Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the president of the board, and to my left is Commissioner Barb Lewis, and to my right is Commissioner Jeff Denton. And we are reconvening our meeting from this morning for the purpose of a viewing of Harsh number 480 drainage improvement petition. So we are back in session, and I'm going to kind of read the guidelines that we will follow. Again, this is just a viewing. There's no testimony. It's just simply for the purpose of kind of giving the commissioners some idea of what we will be listening to at the first hearing at the date of March 14th, it looks like. So just please keep that in mind, pointing out things to us. I'm going to read through here and we'll kind of explain everything. Welcome to the viewing for the consideration of the Harsh number 480 Watershed Drainage Improvement Petition. There's a sign-in sheet that should have made its way around. Has everybody had an opportunity to sign it? So apparently Sarah's going to take care of that. Today's viewing is for the proposed improvement area is taking place at the office of the Board of Commissioners, and we're going to do it with video technology. We have found that has been an excellent way of viewing it and really get a better view than we do in person. A video will be available to gain an overview of the project limits in specific areas. Again, as I said earlier, no testimony or decisions are made here at this viewing. This is simply a way for the board to become familiar with the area. And the first hearing is March 14th, as I alluded to. And you'll hear a report from the engineer on that date. And that is also the time for testimony for or against the petition. And when it is time for landowners to point out the drainage concerns in the area, we'll work our way around the audience today and let you point out things you think we should know or be aware of before the hearing on March 14th. And I'm going to turn the proceedings over to Brett Bacon with Soil and Water.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. Before I start the video, I would like to point out one thing with the map that you have in front of you and was distributed to the landowners. This map is upside down, if you will. North is to the bottom of the page. Instead of traditionally, we don't like to, kind of bothers the engineering folks of us in the room, because normally north is at the top of the page, and that's kind of a golden rule.
It is marked correctly. It does say,
pardon?
It is marked correctly.
Yeah, it is marked. It is marked. But the reason for that is we flew this video north to south. And so I honestly, as I watched it, was having trouble flipping back and forth between, oh, this is on my right, no, that's on the left. So I wanted to orient the map in the same direction that the video was flying. So just wanted to point that out. Sure. I'd like to run through the video one time, just letting it play, and then I'll run through it a second time and just kind of point out some observations. So we'll go through it twice and then be happy to answer any questions.
Just so everybody's on the same page, we are traveling north?
We are flying, no, south, north to south.
North to south.
Yes.
Okay.
And this video was flown the Monday after Thanksgiving? Tuesday? Week after Thanksgiving. Okay, this time I will pause and point out a couple things. Okay, the road would be State Route 37. This would be flying through the pasture on parcel number 3 as it's marked on the map. coming up and crossing between 3 and 19. Oh, come on. All right. You can see right here, that appears to be a large blowout on the subsurface drain.
Like the terrain's very flat.
Yes, yes. We're continuing up onto parcel 1 and then eventually parcel 11. You can see what looked to be possibly some more blowouts here and down here. And then this is on parcel 11. What appears to be some gully erosion, and this would be very characteristics of water coming up out of the tile system because of the blowouts, because of the blockages in the system, and running downstream across the surface. Oops, sorry. And this is crossing onto parcel number 8, which is the petitioner. You can see the light streaks in the field there. Those are indicative of the tile as they lay in the field. And then this is coming up to Houseman Road, and you obviously can't see it from this height, but there is a breather on the tile there as well.
Before I open up to see if there's anything that people in the audience wish to point out to us, either of you have any questions for?
It looks like most of the acreage is farmland.
Yes, the upstream acreage is farmland. Upstream of Houseman Road to the south side of Houseman Road would be mostly rural residential, and then downstream of the petitioner, or of parcel number 11, I would call it large lot rural residential, with obviously some of the grazing, horse grazing in there as well.
Okay. Does Brindle Road come into this watershed at all? I didn't see it.
No, I don't believe so.
Because that's where the petitioner's home is.
Yes, this would be just a farm
think
parcel.
Brindle
Yep.
Road came over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we saw then where you mentioned there might have been a blowout first, and then we saw the fields and kind of like a stripe or whatever that is darker, that would also indicate broken tile?
On parcel number 11, or sorry, parcel number 8,
Yeah,
an
like.
example, you can see the lighter
Yeah,
streaks here.
yeah.
That's just characteristic of tile in the ground, not necessarily tile that's blown out or has
okay.
breakdowns. I have only walked through parcel number 8, and I did not observe any blowouts in the tile system. I have not personally walked downstream because that's not something we would undertake until after a first hearing, but the drone video does indicate blowouts in the tile system downstream of parcel number 8, and also my verbal conversations with them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, now again, if you in the audience, I assume you're all property owners in the area. If there's something that, and we can always back it up to people, something you want to point out to us. Is there something you want to point out? It's not, right now, it's not really pro or con, just things you think we ought to know about that will be beneficial when we have the hearing in March. So if you just raise your hand and, okay, you can come forward. Typically on the videos, we don't introduce ourselves, but since we are doing it in here, it might be helpful to go ahead and just introduce who you are. Come up to the mic, please.
Dan Rochon on Houseman Road. I don't know on the video, there was a blowout between partial 11 and 8 where the tile cross, right there in that valley. And there's also a breather on my property, on property 9.
You want to try to point that out here since we're,
I don't know if it's on, I've got the old map, the map that was mailed to me has the tile in it. I'm on property 9.
Okay.
There's a breather right there, and there was a blowout in that area in that valley. I didn't see it. I don't know if the farmer fixed it or not.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you think would be appropriate to point out to us? It's simply the purpose of the day, just for us to get acquainted, so this is the nail of the time or something you think we ought to be aware of. Come forward.
It's more of a question, I guess.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself just for the,
Name's Scott Kirkman. I live on
Okay.
State Route 37, 6305. It's property number 2 on the map.
okay?
How was it determined that the people, I guess, inside this boundary were going to benefit from it?
I need to go to the mic.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Got to put it on the record. First of all, the watershed line, I'll address that. The watershed line at this stage of a project such as these is determined by a computer program, a GIS software, utilizing data from the state of Ohio that has elevations attached to it. We use an automated tool. It analyzes the watershed and determines all the area or acreage that would drain to a given point on the landscape. The state law is very specific in that any property or any piece of land that would have benefit, and for the revised code, benefit is defined as use, is considered as benefited from the project. So any land that drains into a project that would be constructed under ORC 6131 is considered to be benefited by the law and would have some share or stake in the cost of construction and maintenance of a
Correct me
project.
if I'm wrong, but I think to Scott's question, that line can be adjusted between now and the
Correct.
first hearing
That
based
would-
on
Yes.
better
Not
information.
between the first hearing. We would adjust it between the first and second
Yeah,
hearing
first
should
and
the
second,
board
okay.
approve the project to
So-
proceed to survey and engineering.
Okay, and it'll be based on the watershed and where the
Correct.
water's
We
draining.
would use actual field ground truthing. We would take a look at it. If it's necessary, we would survey it. But that is not something we would get into until we get into an engineering phase of a project.
So this line isn't set.
Not entirely, no.
It's kind of a hypothetical.
Yes, it is very reliable data. We have found it to be very good and oftentimes not involving a lot of adjustment necessary. The two things that do give that tool a lot of trouble are, well, three things: heavy woods, heavy dense woods, railroads, and I-71, because it messes up with the algorithms or the what it uses to create those break lines.
But the bottom point is that it is subject to adjustment.
Absolutely,
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I don't really have any drainage issues or
sure.
standing water or anything like that, so I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Is there anyone else has anything that they want to point out that might be helpful that we know in advance of the hearing in March? Corey?
Yeah, my name's Carl Stover.
Get up the mic before you speak, just because.
I got a good voice, trust me, you'll hear me. Maybe not now, but you will later.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Carl Stover, lot number 1, that's our trust. Been there for 35 years. This issue's been there for 35 years. Actually, prior to that, one of the things I want to point out is when the state raised the road, they changed the entire water topography and never changed any tile. So this thing has been a nightmare, and the petitioner was actually want to dig on my property, and it's not a
There'll
problem.
be an opportunity for here,
Yeah,
right
I'll
now.
deal with that, okay? But here's the thing, the state road is elevated, now it's a big-ass dam, excuse my language. It's a big dam that has caused a lot of this, and now we as the homeowners are being asked to not only cover a cost to put in a tile that was changed 40 years ago, also to maintain it, and I don't think that's right. But I don't want you to know there is a, I don't know if you guys took into account the road elevation has changed over the years.
So,
Just go back long enough.
so your point to help us is observation that the road is creating a block or a block
Yeah,
barricade.
it's 15, 20 feet higher than what it used to, and they
From your
shaved my property to actually use it to build the road bed, if you will.
So, Brett, that will get addressed in some form at the first hearing, I assume.
Again, that would be something we would look at during the survey and engineering phase. And if we would find that improvements or alterations would be necessary within the ODOT right-of-way, then ODOT would be direct assessed for those improvements. And we have a very good working relationship with ODOT. You know, we'd be able to get plans and I'll say copies of the work that was done there and evaluate that as far as what's necessary to meet the request of the petition.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would come forward?
My name's Del Looney. I'm here to represent Delman and Carey, 6333, which would be 19.
You say you're here representing, are you not the property owner?
My mother and my
It is
deceased father.
it's your property?
Yes,
Okay, I misunderstood you, I apologize. Which property?
19.
19, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
What do you want to point out to us?
My question is actually as I look at this thing, one, the large blowout that was pointed out early is a catch basin that's on my property. It's always been there, but it does get overwhelmed with water. Again, Carl knows the scenario. Carl's my next door neighbor, so the main line runs through our properties, and then the subsurface tile goes from the boundary of 11 all the way through 8 and picks up a couple other things. Curiosity is what is this actually? Is this to benefit the parcel number 8 that's actually farming land? Is the primary benefit for the farmland?
Go ahead, Brett.
Projects under ORC 6131 are constructed or designed to meet the request of the petition. The county engineer, Soil and Water District, we're responsive to what is asked in the petition. The petition has asked to create a good and sufficient outlet for that property that has requested, in this case, property number 8. Should additional requests come in for that prior to the deadline for that, which I believe is 5 days before the first hearing, we would incorporate those into a design if the commissioners choose to move forward. But as the request stands right now, the request of the petition is to design a good and sufficient outlet to meet the request of the petition.
Dale, does that help answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question. So, and then the other question I have, just to make sure I'm clear on this, is every one of these parcels will pay equally, or is going to be sharing in this project? Is that the initial concept? All the way to the subsurface areas?
Correct. The law is very specific that, again, as I'll restate, any parcel or any piece of land that drains to or uses a project is to share. The law says shall be considered as benefited and shall share in the cost of construction and maintenance of a project. That doesn't mean that every parcel will share equally. We use 3 different factors in determining the schedule of assessments for our project, that being the actual acres benefited, the physical amount of land that would be within the watershed, the percentage of the project that each parcel would use, and the land use of that project. So all those factors go together in determining what a specific parcel assessment is.
And everyone who has water on that property has a responsibility to the degree that the water's on that property.
Correct.
basically.
Correct.
Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have that, I mean, is that equation something that can be looked at, or is it something that'll be determined?
I'd be happy to share that with you.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else who has anything that they think we should be aware of? Carl, you were getting ready to stand up again, I believe. Did you have something?
I'm done.
Okay, well, you started to stand up, so I wasn't sure.
I'm getting ready to exit stage left.
Well, actually, be stage right, 'cause you're right-handed.
I got you.
Okay,
Snaggle was always went to the left.
so I'll make this, is there anyone else who has something they think we should view? If not, we will conclude the viewing. I do thank you for your time and your patience with the process, and I believe March 24th, didn't I say?
14?
March 14th, excuse me, March 14th,
March 14th.
we'll have an opportunity in this room for the first hearing, and look forward to your attendance if you think you want to be part of that meeting. So thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Okay. With that, I do believe we have one piece of business we need to
We
conclude.
do have one other piece of business today. Resolution number 21-1274, in the matter of canceling the Commissioners' session scheduled for Thursday, December 23rd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 21-1274. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
With that, if there's no other business to bring before us, we are adjourned.
Thank you.